Hello everyone, and thank you for joining us for another edition of the Romero Report. I'm Luis Romero, joined with Dr. Greg Hodges, the new president of Patrick Henry Community College. First of all, can you tell us how you're doing today? I know that you're still adjusting to the new position.
Thank you, Luis, for coming here to Patrick Henry's campus. I'm honored to be here, honored that you would come and chat with us, and certainly honored to be in the new position. Been in it for 7 whole days, awesome. So I'm still getting my feet wet, but thank you for coming and chatting with us today.
Of course, and you have a very busy schedule. Even without the position, when you were at the other position, always busy. So we do thank you for taking the time to talk to us today.
It's my pleasure, my pleasure.
To start off our interview, can you tell us how did the opportunity of a career at Patrick Henry Community College come about?
I actually love this question, and I'm glad you asked. I love to talk about this. I was a 3rd grade school teacher in Martinsville City Schools, teaching at Druid Hills Elementary, actually 2nd grade at the time. I taught 3rd grade for 10 years and 2nd for 2 years. And while I was a 3rd grade teacher, the gifted and talented instructor was an adjunct instructor here at Patrick Henry. And she had a medical emergency with a family member. She was scheduled to teach a class that evening, and it was on a Tuesday evening. And this was, of course, before cell phones or anything like that. This was in the early 90s. And she had the medical emergency with a family member, came to my door. I was across the hall from her in 3rd grade at Druid Hills, explained that she had a medical emergency with a family member, and would I be willing to go serve as a guest lecturer for her that evening. And she told me the topic she was looking at for that evening was on classroom management, which was something I was particularly adept with. So I said, absolutely, I would be happy to. She said she'd give me a little check for my time. I came here to the campus. It was a teacher education prep course for teachers getting recertification. There were about 6 students in the classroom. And as it would so happen, I don't believe in coincidences, so as it so happens, the department head for the early childhood ed department came into the class thinking that she was going to observe one of her adjunct, her part-time instructor. She had not yet gotten the message that she had a medical emergency and that I would be there. And so I explained the situation. So she decided to stay in the class, watched me do the lesson, talked to me afterwards about the fact that she had an opening the next semester for a class and would I be interested. I accepted that, then I accepted another one, then eventually became a faculty member and worked my way up through the ranks. So again, I don't believe in coincidences. I believe in divine appointments. And I think sometimes that this was just a way of working things out to get me where I was supposed to be.
So talking about that, what are some of the positions and how have you served students throughout the years here at PHCC?
So I started off as an adjunct faculty member. That's a part-time faculty member here at the college, teaching early childhood education and teacher education courses. I applied in 2004 and was very, very honored to get the position of a full-time faculty member in those 2 disciplines, early childhood ed and education. I worked as a faculty member for 3 years, then was actually approached about considering to apply for the position of Assistant Dean of Art, Science, and Business Technology. I applied for that position, served as Assistant Dean for a couple of years, then transitioned over to a Dean of 3 different divisions, actually, because the college merged divisions over time. So I was a dean of 3 different divisions. Eventually became the vice president of institutional advancement, which is the executive director of the foundation, served there for 2 years. Then the position of chief academic officer, which is the vice president of academic success and student success services, opened up. I applied for that and was afforded that opportunity. And then finally, just a few days ago, started my career as president.
Now, this is not going to be a fair question because you have not been, president, but for 7 days. So what would you say of all the positions that you held, which one have you liked the most?
Oh, well, that's a good question. Probably the one that I have liked the most was faculty. I loved teaching. And in fact, my wife always jokes with me that I'm still a teacher at heart. I absolutely loved teaching and still get quite jazzed by teaching. But I've transitioned into administration because I recognize the ability to influence becomes greater. And so as much as I enjoy teaching, I think administrators, we often talk about crossing over to the dark side of administration,
Right.
But administrators are able to impact change, Administrators have a larger footprint. Administrators are able to really, I think, reach a broader audience. But I still teach, and I don't think there'll ever be a time where I put teaching aside. It's once teaching is in your blood and it becomes who you are, I'm not sure you can ever get past it, frankly.
Awesome. And as we move on in our interview, I have never been asked so many questions, so many times, who got the position at PHCC, and get such a great response from everyone in the community when I tell
that's
them
very
Dr.
kind of you.
Greg Hodges, and I'm being honest when I say that. And how vital was it to get someone that the community knew? But also, how vital was it to get someone that has worked at PHCC and has worked closely with Dr. Godwin, Angeline Godwin?
I'm very honored by your kind words. I'm deeply honored. I've told everyone I am deeply, deeply honored to serve the college and the community that my family and I love. I grew up here. My wife grew up here. My children attended Patrick Henry Community College. They're both doing exceptionally well. They got fantastic educations here. I don't think it was essential that someone from the college be named the president, because it doesn't happen very often, frankly. If you look out throughout American history, and even now, it's very rare that an internal candidate actually gets put in the position of a president. It happens very, very rarely. What I think was important is that someone who understood the college, who understood the campus, who understood the community, be put in the position. So yes, I was very fortunate to be named by the chancellor as the new president, and I'm very grateful for the community ties that we have. I've told everyone, and I mean this with all sincerity, we absolutely, my family and I, love this campus, we love this college, and we love this community. For me, this was never about applying for a presidency. I've only ever applied for one presidency, and it's Patrick Henry, and I hope to never have to apply for another one. I would love to retire from here. This is family for us, and we want nothing more. When I say we, because it's a family decision, we want nothing more than for Patrick Henry to be recognized locally for how fantastic it is. We have such a national reputation,
yes.
And oftentimes our reputation is greater across the country than folks recognize locally.
And now, of course, we have to talk about Dr. Angeline Godwin, who's the former president, for those that are living under a rock that didn't know. So how closely did you work with Dr. Godwin, and how did that kind of shape, I guess, or help with the position you have now?
You know, I have actually, Louis, made a career out of following behind very strong female leaders, and none stronger than Dr. Godwin. I have said jokingly but very truthfully, there is no way that I could ever stand in her very sensible size 8 flats. She transformed this institution. In many ways, she helped to redefine our community. She is and was a force to be reckoned with. She has been a mentor to me. To be very honest with you, we still don't talk about at my house about her leaving the area, because my wife falls apart. My wife absolutely adored Dr. Godwin, and when I told her that she was retiring, my wife didn't speak to me for 2 days because she thought that I was giving her such bad news. But I worked very closely with Dr. Godwin. I would not be sitting in the presidency were it not for the confidence Dr. Godwin had in my abilities as a leader. She trained me. She's been a mentor to me. And I can't brag enough about what she brought to this campus, this college, and this community. So my goal now is not to try to replicate what she's done. Her legacy is solid, won't be tarnished. My goal now is to take what she's done and build upon it and continue the forward momentum for our college and the community, because the college is here to serve the community.
And going back to you, what would you say as you took on the position here has been the biggest adjustment?
It's a good question. In the 7 days that I've been president, one of the things that I've discussed with the leadership team here is my need to kind of pull back now out of the weeds of a lot of the initiatives that the college is engaged in. The Office of Vice President of Academics, the Chief Academic Officer, is really, to use that expression again, deep down in the minutia of much of what goes on the campus. And so it's my tendency to kind of really want to dig down into the middle of that. And the president needs to pull back from that, because the president puts in place the leadership team to do those things. And so we have put in place now for 1 year an interim Terry Young, who was a dean, has stepped in for a year. He won't be eligible for the position. He graciously agreed to serve as an interim. That allows us in the spring to do a nationwide search, so to make sure we have the most qualified, most diverse candidate pool possible to step in July 1 of next year for the permanent position. So for me, I need to, and it's a work in progress. I'm still struggling with it at times, to pull back out of so many initiatives and let the leadership team that's in place now deal with that, so that I can deal with these things on a much more community-based and campus-based level.
And of course, you've talked about some of the positions you've held here at Patrick County Community College. What are some other organizations that you're involved with in the community? I know some individuals, of course, know that you're the pastor of a local church as well.
Correct. I am the senior pastor of Stanleytown's Amazing Grace Baptist Church. I've been there, just celebrated 20 years with the church. Thank you, very honored to serve there. Have a fantastic leadership team there, and I'm so thankful for them, because they allow me. I'm very thankful that the church allows me to do the work that I'm passionate about, and that I'm afforded the opportunities to do both. I have a fantastic leadership team at the church that really handles the day-to-day operations and allows me to concentrate on a broader scale. Nationally, also serve as a leadership coach for Achieving the Dream. That's the nation's largest non-governmental reform network for community college education. Wow. Patrick Henry has been an Achieving the Dream school since 2004. We were one of the original 26 schools that joined Achieving the Dream. Now there are more than 400 colleges, 48 states for the Achieving the Dream network. When colleges are brought into Achieving the Dream, they are assigned a leadership coach that helps them navigate the nuances of Achieving the Dream, and I'm very fortunate to serve as one of those coaches. I had several colleges in my portfolio. I've released most of those except for one as I stepped into the position of president. And then I'm deeply involved with several organizations as part of community college education, like PHCC, American Association of Community Colleges. Other national organizations we have a deep connection with, and I'm involved with those as well.
Wow, that's very, very impressive to hear. And what we're going to do now, we're going to take a quick commercial break. When we come back, we're going to continue a very educational interview with the new president of Patrick County Community College. So stay with us. We'll be right back. Thank you for staying with us. Again, this is the Romero Report. I'm Luis Romero, and again, if you're just joining us right now, with the new president of Patrick County Community College, Dr. Greg Hodges, and we're talking about everything that has to do with his new title and his background, and talking about the community involvement. How important is that for the president to be involved in the community? That's
an excellent question, Luis. Community is who we are. We are a community college. We are this community's college, and next year we'll be celebrating 60 years of serving this community. It'll be our Diamond Jubilee. As such, the president's function is to serve the community and the college that serves the community. So the president's got to be involved on a multitude of levels. One of the things that our predecessor, Dr. Godwin, brought to the table that I want to continue forward is our work with economic development. There is nothing more important that we do in a community than enhance the economic development of the community. Our number one job, our number one function is to train the next generation of employers. Everyone that comes to our campus, whether they're here for a 4-day short-term credential, if they're here for a 1-semester career study certificate, a CSC, or they're here for a 2-year AAS, they're actually here for a job or a better job. Even transfer students who come here for 2 years to transfer to the university, we are preparing them for the eventuality of a job. Our number one function is to train employees to meet the needs of our employers. The only way for us to do that is to understand the needs of the employers. So being involved in the economic development, the business and industry of the community is absolutely essential. And then I think the president also has to have a role in just the overall community development of the community. Again, we had a great history of that with Dr. Godwin, and I want to see that continue. But I think every aspect of the community the president needs to be involved in, and not just the president, the leadership team in general, and candidly the community. My vision is that the college becomes the central hub of the community, so that whatever the community's needs is, if it's a job, if it's arts, if it's a community development and education, whatever that need is, Patrick Henry fulfills that need and becomes the institution of choice for everyone in the community to meet those needs.
Economic development is a big topic.
Huge.
When it comes, and it's so connected with Patrick Henry Community College. What are some of the, businesses or organizations that you're involved to make that connection with PHCC and employers?
I'm glad you asked that. This will be, I think the press release just went out a couple of days ago. Patrick Henry is the first college in Virginia and only the fourth in America to be certified by the Transatlantic Business Investment Council, TBIC. As most folks in our community know, or perhaps they don't know, several European companies are looking at this community as a landing place. We've landed some European companies, Press Glass from Poland, of course. We've got several others who are looking at our community. In Europe, they don't talk the same language of education that we do. We talk about short-term training credentials. We talk about career study certificates. We talk about degrees. That doesn't match the European business vocabulary. Okay. So what TBIC does is take our programs and the competencies of our credentials and aligns them with European business manufacturing standards. We went through an exhaustive process during the spring, during the pandemic. We had multiple site visits from TBIC and just found out last week that all 4 of our eligible programs have been TBIC certified. Wow. We'll be taking in January, our team will be going to Germany to meet with German business leaders and other European leaders in the hopes of landing even more European companies in Martinsville and Henry County. Because now when we've got this TBIC certification, what it says to those European employers is that the skills and competencies that our degrees provide meet their needs and makes us as a community even more attractive to those European manufacturers.
And again, we hear about that connection all the time, and it's good to have that connection because you guys are also training the individuals here, but it grows our community in the long run when there's a partnership.
Absolutely. We talk about those indirects. You know, we're training the employers, but the employees, need to shop, they need to go to the grocery store, they need gas, they need restaurants, and so it becomes an ecosystem really of economic development. With Patrick Henry, I'm confident remaining at the center of it.
Right. Now for a very loaded question, I mean, the answer can be loaded. What is the biggest goal as president?
My biggest goal is that we continue to train the employees for the employers. That's number one. To meet those needs, several things need to happen. The Virginia Community College System just passed Opportunity 2027, which is a new strategic plan for all 23 community colleges. We are in the final months of our strategic plan, so we will be crafting our new strategic plan that will align with Opportunity 2027. Another short-term goal that we're seeing bring to fruition is G3, which is the governor's initiative on getting job, get skilled, and give back. Best way to give back to a community is by getting a job and paying taxes to that community.
Right.
So it provides tuition, textbooks, and fees, but it also provides a Student Success Incentive Grant and SSIG. And one of the things we're saying repeatedly is there's really never been a more season of favor for the community college world. Students now can come here and most students can not only have everything paid for, but earn some significant dollars to help with their living expenses, with gas, with childcare. In many cases, thousands of dollars to assist with those expenses. This is really, there is no better time for a student to come to a community college in Virginia than right now.
And this community college was one of the first in Virginia to offer that. Is that correct?
Correct. Through our SEED program, and we and I, candidly, am eminently proud of our SEED program. It is one of the things that I work diligently on as the vice president. Right. We have some big announcements that are coming about SEED soon. Okay, awesome. And we're very proud of the work that's happened with SEED. It is now part of a whole plethora of financial opportunities that we can bring to the table for students.
And how important also is it to keep the community informed about all of these? Because I cannot go a week without getting a press release from something great going on at Patrick Henry Community College?
Oh, I love hearing that. I hope you never go a week without a press release coming out of Patrick Henry for something great. It is important, and it is a challenge, to be honest with you, to pierce the noise. You know, there's lots that's happening nationally. There are lots of things that are happening even regionally and locally, and it's difficult sometimes to pierce the noise of all of that. However, it is important for us to consistently get the message out. We're selling the value of education at times as much as we are the individual programs. Our programs, whether it's a short-term training credential or a 2-year degree, lead to family-sustaining wages. Every time a student gets a credential from Patrick Henry, we are taking a student and oftentimes their entire family out of poverty and placing them squarely into the middle class. It's a heavy responsibility, but it is our deep honor to realize that every time a student drives on this campus or logs on to their Canvas, to their online classroom, they are getting closer and closer and closer to a career that provides a family-sustaining wages for them and their family.
For those individuals, parents, students that are a little iffy about coming to community college, for many reasons, we could name a lot of reasons, what would you say to them? What should a student do if they are a little confused about, should I come to Patrick Henry Community College? That's
a great question. We pride ourselves in being open access. That means whosoever will may come. We'll take everybody, regardless of the skill set, regardless of any challenges they may or may not have had. Finances are never a barrier here. We have, in my 15 plus years, I don't know of a single student that we have had to say we can't serve you. So what my suggestion is, drive onto our campus. There is a sign that says start here, and you walk into the front door of Walker and we'll serve you. If driving here is not possible, call the switchboard. Log on to patrickhenry.edu and click the appropriate button, and we'll connect you. We'll get you started and assist you through the steps. We have incredible navigators and educational coaches that will help you through every single step of this. It can be daunting. Let's be candid. It can be daunting. FAFSA. We can't fix FAFSA. We can complain about it, and we can leverage our opportunities to try to fix it. We can't fix it. We work with it, and we help students with it. The application at times, the state application, there's some challenges there. Right. We help folks navigate all of that so that they are never on their own as they try to improve their lives and improve their family's trajectory.
Very, very good to hear. Now, as we start to conclude our interview, I always like to ask everyone, what have they enjoyed most about their job and, of course, your career? Can you tell us what that would be for you?
Wow. What I enjoy the most is always the recognition of what we're doing. You know, folks talk often about what happens at graduation, but every time a student walks across the stage, for me, it's they're stepping out of what was in many cases, poverty, and now they're stepping across the stage with a credential in hand, firmly planted into the middle class. But for me personally, it is also the recognition of where we've come from as a family. My parents both grew up in extreme poverty.
Wow.
And I'm very grateful for the opportunities that they have afforded. That they have afforded me through education, and that we now are able to afford others. It is the honor of my family's lifetime to help this community and serve this college.
Well, what a blessing, and thank you for sharing that with us.
Absolutely.
I really do appreciate that. Now, moving a little bit to a different topic now, what would you say has been the biggest accomplishment you've had with your career here at PHCC?
If I had to pick an initiative that I'm most proud of, it would probably be SEED. SEED was a long time in its creation. We are very grateful for the Harvest Foundation for their confidence in us as a college. It was a dream come true for me personally, and something that I had prayed about and worked with and struggled over, and found a beautiful partnership with Harvest Foundation. And our data has been very clear about the impact of SEED. Our SEED students excel. And in fact, SEED students do exceptionally well. Personally, of course, ascending to the presidency has been a tremendous accomplishment. But teaching is probably what I enjoy the most still.
Well, we're out of time. Any other remarks that you want to let our viewers know about?
I just simply say that Patrick Henry remains this community's college. For 60 years, we've been serving this community, and for the next 60 years, we're going to serve this community. We are here to help students get where they need to be, regardless of where they are. And our doors are always open, and we can't wait to see what the future holds for this college and this community. So thank you for being here, Luis.
Of course, and thank you for having me again. I appreciate you taking the time, educating our public. We learned a lot, of everything that goes on at Patrick Henry Community College, and I thank you for being, here to talk to the public, and I appreciate the partnership that Patrick Henry Community College has with the BTW 21 and myself, and I look forward to working very closely with you all.
Hear, hear, Luis. Thank you so much.
And we encourage you to stay with BTW 21. We have a lot more great local programming. It's coming up after this break.
Help me down.